Poor girl showed up on a blind date covered in mud. The single dad's reaction left her stunned. It was nearly 7 p.m. when Evelyn stood outside the small riverside cafe, her heart pounding so fiercely that she felt the thumps in her throat. She wiped her trembling hands on the only decent dress she owned, a faded pastel blue gown she'd bought second-hand. Her chestnut brown hair, usually tied neatly, fluttered messily in the cold breeze. Tonight was supposed to be her first blind date in 6 years. Her friend Mia had practically dragged her into it, insisting that she deserved happiness after everything she'd endured: the loss of her parents, the debt, the struggle to raise herself while working 2 jobs. Evelyn was nervous, but hopeful. Until something unbelievable happened. Her bus broke down a mile before her stop. Already running late, she had no choice but to walk through a muddy construction detour she hadn't expected. But halfway across, a passing truck sped through a puddle so deep, it splashed mud all over her. Her dress ruined. Her hair soaked. Her shoes drowned. She stood there, frozen, staring at the sky as if begging for an explanation. The evening that was supposed to be magical had turned into humiliation. Why today?" she whispered, tears burning her eyes. She thought about turning back. She thought about canceling. She thought about telling him she was sick. But something in her heart said, not every good thing has to start perfectly. So she wiped her face with her sleeve, took a deep breath, and walked toward the cafe. Inside the cafe, Daniel Carter, a 32-year-old single father, sat nervously tapping his foot. He wasn't used to dating. His entire world revolved around his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. His marriage ended 3 years ago when his wife left without warning, without explanation. Since then, he lived quietly, working as a mechanic by day and reading bedtime stories by night. But Lily had insisted he try again. "Daddy, you're lonely," she had said with her small hands cupping his cheeks. "I want someone to make you smile again." So here he was hoping, waiting, dressed in his best shirt. Until the door opened. And everything changed. When Evelyn walked in, the entire cafe fell silent. Her dress was stained, her hair tangled, her arms splattered with mud. People glanced at her with raised eyebrows and hushed whispers. Daniel looked up, and froze. Not because of how she looked, but because of how defeated she seemed, like someone who had fought a storm and lost, but still showed up. Her courage moved something inside him. She scanned the room, embarrassed, eyes shimmering with tears, until she found him. I'm Evelyn," she said, voice trembling. "I'm so sorry. I look like this. I understand if you want to leave." Daniel stood up slowly. Everyone expected him to judge her. Instead, he removed his jacket and gently wrapped it around her shoulders. His voice was soft, warm, and steady. "Evelyn, thank you for coming anyway." Her breath caught. "No one has ever said that to me," she whispered. Daniel guided her to the table, ignoring the staring crowd. "What happened?" he asked gently. She explained everything: the bus, the detour, the truck, the humiliation. "I almost didn't come," she admitted. "But I didn't want to disappoint you." Daniel smiled a little. "You didn't disappoint me," he said. "You impressed me." She blinked in shock. Impressed? Anyone can show up looking perfect. But it takes courage to show up like this. Evelyn felt a lump form in her throat. No one had ever admired her struggles before. No one had ever looked past her appearance or circumstances. But Daniel did. The waiter arrived, visibly hesitant, but Daniel's warm confidence pushed away any awkwardness. They ordered simple meals, but the conversation flowed easily like two old souls meeting again after years apart. They talked about her job at the bookstore, his work at the garage, her love for painting, his daughter's obsession with drawing stars on every page. Then came a moment that melted Evelyn's heart, the moment Daniel spoke of Lily. "You'd love her," he chuckled. "She's sunshine in human form." Evelyn watched the way his eyes softened when he spoke of his daughter. A man who loves his child like that, she thought, could never love anyone half-heartedly. Just as their dessert arrived, the cafe door jingled again. A small girl with curly hair ran inside. "Daddy!" Daniel lit up instantly. "Lily, I told Mrs. Parker to keep you until. She said you were nearby and I missed you," Lily said, hugging him tightly. Then her eyes moved to Evelyn. "Daddy, who is this pretty lady?" Evelyn gasped. She was covered in mud, her hair a mess. But to this child, she was pretty. Daniel spoke softly. "This is Evelyn. My friend." Lily walked straight to Evelyn, gently touched her muddy wrist, and said, "You look like you had a hard day. Do you need a hug?" Evelyn's heart broke, and healed, at the same moment. She nodded. Lily wrapped her tiny arms around her. It was the first hug Evelyn had received in years. Daniel invited her for a walk by the riverside after dinner. The air was cool, the street lights reflecting on the water, and the world quiet enough to hear their breaths. "You know," Evelyn said softly, "I thought tonight would be the worst day of my life." "And now?" Daniel asked. She looked up at him with shy eyes. "Now it feels special." Daniel took a slow breath. "I'm glad you didn't turn back," he said. "I'm glad you didn't give up on tonight." Then he added the words that left her frozen, "Evelyn, I would like to see you again." Her heart stopped, then raced. "You would?" she whispered. Daniel nodded with a smile that touched his eyes. "Next time, hopefully with less mud." She laughed, a real, bright laugh she hadn't felt in years. When they reached the cafe entrance again, Daniel hesitated. Evelyn hesitated, two souls afraid of getting hurt again, yet craving warmth. Finally, he spoke. "Before you go," he said softly, "I want to say something." Evelyn looked up. "Today wasn't perfect," he continued. "But sometimes, imperfect moments lead to the best beginnings." Her eyes shimmered. "Daniel, thank you," she whispered. "No one has ever made me feel like I mattered." "You do," he said gently. "More than you know." She felt her heartbeat stutter. They didn't kiss. They didn't rush. They simply stared at each other, breathing the same cold night air, knowing something beautiful had begun. Something neither of them had expected. Something stronger than a blind date, stronger than mud, stronger than fear. A second chance at love. Epilogue 6 months later. Evelyn stood by the same cafe wearing the same dress she had worn the night of their first date. Except this time, she wasn't covered in mud. She was holding Lily's hand. And Daniel's hand was holding hers. "You ready?" Daniel asked. "For forever," she smiled. He nodded. And together the poor girl, the single dad, and the little girl who believed in hugs, they walked inside. Their new chapter had just begun.